President Trump also is attempting to force the Smithsonian to change its museums, exhibits, and operations to reflect his view of American history. NBC News has learned the White House sent a letter to museum officials directing a wide review of 8 of the Smithsonian's 21 museums ahead of America's 250th anniversary. Vice President J.D. Vance will oversee that process. The museums will have 30 days to turn over information about their current exhibits and plans to commemorate the anniversary. And within 120 days, the White House says the Smithsonian must replace, quote, divisive or ideologically driven language with unifying, historically accurate, and constructive descriptions. The Wall Street Journal, which first reported the story, writes that the goal is to, quote, ensure the museums align with President Trump's interpretation of American history. It follows an executive order issued back in March in which the president criticized the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture for supposedly promoting race-centered ideology. NBC News then reported more than 30 artifacts were removed from the museum, including Harriet Tubman's hymn book and Frederick Douglass's memoir. This latest letter comes just days after the Smithsonian changed its text on a description of President Trump's impeachment following the January 6th Capitol riot. The new wording has no references to Trump's statement challenging the 2020 election results as being false. Whoa. There's a lot here, Katty.
A lot.
I would love to get your take on this, but it seems to me that this kind of feeds into the basic facts that Americans can agree on or not, and also erasing history, which seems incredibly dangerous in many ways in the long run.
So clearly President Trump and his team spent 4 years out of office examining every kind of aspect of American government to see where they could maximize their political leverage, whether it was at universities or at law firms and now at the Smithsonian museums, to see if they could bring those museums more in line with the will of the president. And I think the fact that it even says in that order that this is to put history in line with President Trump's interpretation of history. I mean, it'd be fascinating to sit down with the president and ask him for an hour as a scholar, what is your interpretation of American history? Where do you see issues like the Civil War? What is your interpretation of issues like slavery? And I think it's no coincidence that it is the Museum of African American History, which is such a well-visited museum here in Washington, Mika. It's one of the most popular museums for people to go to. Anyone who hasn't been to it, I recommend that you come to it when you come to the city. It is very safe to visit the Museum of African American History, and it is incredibly moving and gut-wrenching experience. It's hard to see how you could have the exhibition that tells the story of slavery in America in a way that is unifying, and I can't remember quite what the other word was, unifying and uncontroversial or something. I mean, it's not. I mean, the question of slavery is not necessarily a unifying story. It's a hard, difficult, divisive story for America to tell, and I think the African American Museum does it very well. But if it starts having to tell a sanitized version of that story, it's no longer really a museum at that point. I mean, it's not a historical representation full of people who are doing serious research and scholarship.
I mean, let's be blunt. This is really bad and really, really dangerous. A nation needs to know its history. It has to be honest about its history, to learn from it, to honor it, and also to then grow and improve for the present and future. There's no way that rewriting a history to fit one president's vision is good for a nation's health or is good for a nation's democracy. We've already seen the Smithsonian change its impeachment exhibit, because to eliminate the references to President Trump. They've been restored, modified, edited, sanitized some, but at least they're back. But now it seems like that's just the first step to a sweeping revisiting of American history through the Smithsonian's. We already know a little bit about how this president views this issue in his administration. We're seeing Confederate monuments being restored to parks in Washington. We're seeing military bases being renamed by 2 Confederate generals, or clever by half, some named after the same name, Bragg, as a Confederate general. And Anthony Coley, I mean, this is not what a healthy democracy does. No. You can be patriotic. You can love your country. We have the 250th anniversary next year. Certainly President Trump and his team are already gearing up towards really celebrating that. Some of that is good. But to honor a nation's history, you have to be honest about it. And to rewash it, to sanitize it, right, to whitewash it, right, to not be honest about it, right, that's not good.
Listen, the American story is both glorious and painful. It has warts. You don't lift up and highlight the glorious parts and bury the warts. You tell the full American story and all of its truth. What this guy is doing is trying to turn the Smithsonian into a propaganda machine. He is trying to rewrite history just like he did on January 6th, right? If you think really about what he tried to do with pardoning all of these criminal defendants, people who were serving jail, even for abusing and killing police officers. He's trying to rewrite the narrative, both his narrative of the American history, of his part of the American story, but even more broadly, the broad American story. This is dangerous. It's chilling, and I think every American who supports honest truth-telling and fact-telling should be concerned about this.
Elizabeth, the executive order from President Trump in late March was titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. That's one man's idea of what truth and sanity about American history are. He basically wants anything race-based removed from our history. And you think about when Jackie Robinson was removed from a Defense Department page, his military service as part of that story and his pioneering life, and then it was put back up. And then later, about a month later, Harriet Tubman was removed from some pages. References to slavery were moved down. My point is, these are not clerical errors. This is a concerted effort. And the president gave license to all of these efforts when he signed that executive order a few months back.
That's correct. And as I was just remembering the quote that those who do not remember history are condemned to repeat it. And this is I don't understand how you do this kind of an investigation of the African American Museum, looking for things that are racially unpleasant. I don't understand. The whole museum is, again, as I would agree with Katy, it's one of the most moving places I've ever been. And you see in this history that it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. You see it repeated over and over and over through the generations of history. And again, we need to remember that. I also think that this completely undermines and marginalizes the government's, the Smithsonian. I mean, there's going to be plenty of scholarship in America at universities, historians who there is plenty there for Americans to find. It's not going to be wiped out, but it just completely undermines the government's efforts to tell the story. It's not like we're going to forget this history that's too much part of us right now. But I do think it's the strangest thing imaginable that they're doing this.
MSNBC Justice and Legal Affairs analyst Anthony Coley, thank you very much for coming on this morning. We appreciate it.